Yes, everyone, here we go. Manchester United, Villarreal, the Europa League Final, the last game of the season. The one which is actually going to define whether this is a good season or, the Ole Outlaw is going to start all over it again. And I'm not going to say I agree with them, but on one hand, is it a good season is going to be defined by whether we win this trophy or not. Now, let's look at Villarreal. That's why we're all here, because I know that you know that we know how United play. But let's look at how Villarreal play. Right then, Villarreal finished 7th in the league, and they are arguably a lot better than where their league position put them. And there's been a couple of teams that we've seen like that, even in England. There's a couple of teams that have fell down a little bit. They've had some pretty good form of late. Even though their immediate form hasn't been fantastic, they've had some pretty good form. They do have the added incentive of winning the Europa League to get into the Champions League because they've not done it through the league. In the last 5, they've won 3, including a 4-0 win against Sevilla, and they did lose on the weekend to Real Madrid 2-1, but they did rest a lot of their key players, a bit like United, clearly with an eye on this game, and it was still a decent showing from them. So it's going to be a proper all-or-nothing game for both teams. Villarreal, they're going to win a trophy. They're going to want to qualify for the Champions League, and historical Emery has proven himself to be a little bit of a Europa specialist, and he's also proven himself to be pretty good when he's played against United as well. So this is also Villarreal's first ever final in their history, European final in their history, which is also an absolutely crazy stat. Who is going to be the danger man? So Gerard Moreno, he's the main man for Villarreal, and he's had a ridiculously good season, to be fair to him. He's got 29 goals and 12 assists in 45 games. He's the second top scorer in La Liga behind a little fella called Lionel Messi. You might have heard of him. He's got 41 goal involvements in 45 games. This is an absolute stellar player. This is someone that United have definitely got to worry about. And he's not just a goal scorer. He's also got real good vision, real good range of passing, and his XG in all comps is 24. So he's outperformed that by 9 goals, which is a real testament to just how clinical this guy's been when he's been playing. And he is the joint top scorer in Europa League also with 6 goals. Now, Gerrard's a bit of an intriguing mix of a centre-forward and a bit of an inverted right winger. So Luke Shaw's going to have to be at his best depending on where he lines him up with this one. But the flexibility has been something that Emery's really lent on and something that he uses as a real asset and a real tool. Now, they're not particularly blessed with blistering pace or strength or physicality. He's absolutely devastating when it comes to doing the simple things well. And that's deadly. People who do the simple things well to this level, I worry about those sorts of players because they're extremely effective. Now, whether that's cutting inside on his left from those wide areas, or it means dropping into space when he senses an opportunity and someone's maybe switched off that should be covering him, communication and passing people on, especially if you're going to have an unfavoured or unfamiliar backline, which is what United are probably going to have. He's a player that's going to make you look stupid, and he's a player that's going to have that. He's got real intuitive movement and fantastic shooting technique and finishing. He's a real danger man. Certainly a player to watch. That left foot is good, but he's no slouch on his right foot either. Predicted lineup. Right. As usual, Emery experiments with a number of different formations. He's fairly hard to pin down, but the 4-1-4-1 has been the most commonly used for him. Also shifts into a bit of a 4-3-3 and also a 4-4-1-1 at times, and even on occasion 4-4-2. It's been a formation that he seems to have settled for a little bit in recent times, and potentially something that we could be seeing on Wednesday night. Moreno has been more central rather than out wide, and that's a position where he's proved that he can be extra dangerous. And although against United, I think we might see them opt for that extra midfielder to try and pack out the middle a little bit against us. This is what I'm expecting them to go with. Asenjo in net, Gaspar, Albiol, Pau Torres, and Pedraza. Pino, Capoue, Pereiro, Trigos, Moreno, and Bacca. In a 4-3-3. That's what I'm thinking it's probably going to be. In injuries, Villarreal are going to be without Chukwueze, Vincente, Iborra, and Juan Foyth because of injuries. Whether or not that's significant enough, we will find out, obviously. How do they play? Well, Emery is kind of renowned for his emphasis on rigid positional play and structure within the systems, and he prefers a bit of an attacking philosophy over a sturdy and reliable sort of defence. And although they've set up in the old-fashioned 4-4-2, there is a lot of fluidity to the way that they execute. And they adjust positionally, and the way they do it, it requires communication, it requires concentration, it requires work rate, and that's the things that Villarreal have got going in their favour in abundance. Whenever they try to play out, they shift into like a 2-1-4-3 kind of setup for it, or for the purpose of simplifying it, it looks a little bit like a 3-4-3. You'll see Pereiro dropping him alongside the two centre-backs. They spread out wider. He sort of assists with helping play them out. The diamond shape created at the very back also allows them to get a bit of numerical superiority if someone tries to press them high. And this setup allows them a couple of pretty unique advantages. One of them is that it pushes the fullbacks higher, meaning that the wingers get to come inside. They overload the central areas. You've got angles as you're trying to play and things that are traditionally not there with a standard midfield pivot of two, because of the way that these guys like to set up. Pedraza's very adventurous on the left. He's very explosive, very attacking. He can be a handful on the overlap. Definitely something that United are going to have to start watching. He likes to fill the space going forward in the wide areas. The forward men narrow off and start overloading the middle, and he gets wide into space because the fullback has been dragged by the wide men coming inside. He ends up in a lot of space, and he's got good delivery once he gets into the final third. So again, these are the sort of patterns that you're probably going to start seeing them play. Now, they've scored 60 goals in the league, which is the fourth most, behind Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid. You might have heard of those teams. Pretty big deal. But the 44 they've conceded in the league shows that they can be got at defensively somewhat. They have a pass completion of 84%, which is, again, the fourth in the Liga. An average about 55.6% possession, which, again, is fourth in La Liga, behind Madrid, Barcelona, and Sevilla. They're competent on the ball. They're a good footballing team. They're very much a possession, passing style of team. And it'd be no exaggeration to say that they're probably a much better footballing side than we are. Only the big three in Spain have managed more shots on target than Villarreal. They are no slouch when it comes to attacking play. They're incisive, creative, and dangerous when they get into the final third. And Alcácer, Bacca, Moreno, and even Pino, who's only 18 years of age, they are good in the final third, and they're a threat. I can't believe how many people are writing off this team and what we're going to come up against in this. Now, they're not the strongest when it comes to posing a threat in the air. Emery's men have scored just 3 headed goals in the Liga this season, which is the joint lowest across Europe's top 5 leagues, alongside 6 other clubs. The Maguire loss with this, at least, maybe not in the organisational sense, but in this sense at least, might not be felt so much. They are third in the league for successful dribbles with 456 behind Real Madrid and Barcelona, as they have players all over the pitch that are very comfortable carrying and moving the ball up the pitch and dribbling with it. They're technical, they're expressive, and like I said, they're a threat. And they are also, interestingly, in the bottom 5 for the league for defensive pressures, which means that they're not very much a pressing side, and for the most part, they prefer to sort of set off in a bit of a medium block, maybe set some pressing traps, maybe just allow you to do what you need to do at the back and prefer structure and rigidity through the centre as they're doing that. Pereiro is one of the most influential players, and he ranks very high in La Liga for several categories such as touches, passes, pressures, tackles. He's a real number 8 do-it-all midfielder, the kind of midfielder that I think if United lost Pogba, we could really do with, in all honesty. Right, how do United beat them? This is what we're here for. How does this United side line up against this? Now, the big test, the big question for all of this is who plays in net? I'll tell you, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go with the rumours and suggest it probably is going to be David De Gea. Although I think if we're going to play a high line in this, I could really see the benefit of having Henderson coming up and being a sweeper and putting the ball forward and because they play a high line, getting in behind and trying to see what we can do against their back line with our pacey forwards. I would like to see that, to be honest. Whether we'll see that or not, I don't know. So I'm going to go with De Gea. I think Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, and I think Axel alongside Lindelof is what's going to get the nod at centre-half. I'm nervous now I'm talking about this. Now I'm actually picking the team. I'm bloody nervous. Midfield, I go with McTominay and Pogba. And I think that's probably far too adventurous for Ole, but that's what I'd like to see United go with. They're not combative, and I think that you can certainly get at them. And I think it probably is more likely going to be a Fred and McTominay situation, or even possibly a Van der Beek and McTominay situation. But I would go with Pogba and McTominay. I really would. Put McTominay on one of the more creative midfielders and see if you can sort of shackle them that way. But I have Pogba sitting alongside and being a deep line playmaker for United. His aerial ability and defensive ability would be very much required because I'm going for it in the final third. My forward four, Greenwood on the right, Rashford on the left, Cavani and Bruno. And I could understand Greenwood making way in this instance because of his age and his experience, but the guy's on fire and you need to find a way to stick him into this team. And I think United shocked them by taking it to him. I don't think they're gonna. I think Ole will go with two sitting midfielders, and I don't. Matic was a statue at weekend, and Fred supposedly injured. If it's McTominay and Fred, we know what we're going to get in a big game with those two. But I do think it will mean that Pogba ends up on the left and Rashford ends up on the right, and I don't really dig that, to be honest, but it might be what we end up with. Cavani, Bruno, Pogba, Rashford, Greenwood, match winners. For me, that's your match winners. Now, how this team actually goes on and beats Villarreal, well, they're a ball-playing side, and they stick to those principles no matter what. They're gonna play out. They're gonna be disciplined and committed, and they spread out loads when trying to play out through the back, and they build from the back, and they're very expansive. So if we're able to win the ball back high with a press, because there'll be plenty of space to do that. There will be so much room in behind them if we do that. That's why I wanted Greenwood and that's why I wanted Rashford, rather than sort of making it a bit disjointed. Bruno's press isn't great. He runs hard, but he just gets dribbled past. I'm not sure what it is about him. That's what happens. We cannot afford to lose the battle in midfield. If it is McTominay and Fred, don't moan because they'll do a good job. And otherwise, you're looking at, can Paul Pogba do that energetic sort of thing? And can he look after McTominay? And positionally, can those two together do it? I've not really seen it from them in a United shirt, and we would really need to see it. And a final might not be the time to experiment, so I could really see it being McFred. This might be a game where we have to outrun them rather than out-football them. Like I said, they are probably a better football team than us. If Rashford starts on the right, he has to keep an eye on Pedraza because he's going to bombard up and down. And maybe that suits Wan-Bissaka, but sometimes Wan-Bissaka's positioning can be found a little bit wanting and he can turn his back and just be left in no man's land a little bit. If Pogba's part of the front three, which I think he's probably increasingly likely, then he's going to be adding to the creativity in the ball playing in the final third. But it also takes away an element which is deadly for United, and that is pace. The pace is ridiculous. In terms of the possession style, it really could have played into our hands in terms of the ability to hit them on the counter. It definitely could have been something that we could have worked on like that, whereas it seems to be that Ole's tending to favour this 11 where he gets to squeeze in 4 midfielders and have 2 defensive midfielders in that. And it's Rashford that kind of makes way over onto the right-hand side, but I don't think Rashford's a major goal threat when he plays on the right-hand side. Now, Villarreal aren't strong in the air defensively or offensively, so attacking him down the lines, down the wide areas with width and whipping one in for Cavani is going to be very, very good for us and something that we should definitely look to try and exploit. I think Cavani has got the ability here to win this game for Manchester United. I think if United went for it, one chance, throw a bit of caution to the wind, unsettle them, and if we can just win our individual battles 1v1, certainly when we're going forward, United could absolutely open them up, and we could be coming out of Gdansk with silverware, take the game to them. Attack, attack, attack. That's what this Manchester United team is built to do. Don't fucking bottle it now. Put your foot through the fucking floor and bring the fucking trophy home, and we'll all get absolutely shit-faced. That's what it's all about. Winning fucking trophies, and Wednesday night, that's what we're doing. Up the fucking Reds.